Yo. Welcome into the ChrisBeCappinn Show, man. Today is November the 26th. There are, I think it's 10 games on the board for today in the NBA. We got I was going to say World Cup. We got NBA Cup action for today, as we did yesterday as well. So we'll jump into the games. As far as the recap for yesterday, we talked about a couple things. I didn't really enjoy any of it, so I didn't bet any of it. Had I bet it, wouldn't have bet the CJ McCollum look that we talked about under. He had his greatest day ever being a Washington Wizard yesterday. But I told you guys I only liked that if George was ruled out and if George was ruled in and George was ruled out. So I stayed off of that. Washington team total under. Atlanta just absolutely gets mollywopped last night. Give up 132 points to the Wizards. The Wizards are now 1-6 against the number at the crib. So glad I stayed off of that game overall. The other games we would have got right. Orlando money line was easy last night. Lakers team total over was an easy play last night as well. I like the Austin Reeves look for Jackson. That was a winner. And I like the Kawhi Leonard look as well. And that was a loser on the hook. He finished with 19 points last night. So that's how the night went. I didn't bet anything though. Let's see. Go through comments real quick. What up, Los? A lot of games to get through. I'm going to try to get through all of them. But it's a ton of action for today. He says Detroit's free today. Way too low of a line. I hate to hear that. I hate to hear that. Boy, I hate to hear that. Books giving out free money. I don't think so. He says Pistons taking the Celtics behind the woodshed today. Okay. What's up, Jay? What up, LJ? He says Rockets first quarter on the road. Less cash, Chris. I like it. I like it a lot. Embarrassed to be a Hawks fan. I can understand that. You don't really want to lay too many points with the Hawks. It's always been like that, man. I don't know. You got to ask the Hawks what happened to the Hawks last night, man. You got to ask the Hawks. I'm glad I didn't have a dollar on it. But yeah, let's jump into it for today. So we'll start with Jackson. I already told you guys yesterday, Jackson went 1-1, had a split. Austin Reeves over his 30, what was it? 30, it was 31.5 points, rebounds, and assists. He finished with 31 points by himself last night. So you didn't really need you needed one rebound or assist, and he finished with 12 of those too. So that was easy. And then Kawhi Leonard was the other look. Kawhi over his 19.5 points. He finished with 19 last night. So you got hooked if you took Kawhi. He finished 6 of 14 from the field, but more importantly, I think he was 1 for 5 from 3. And that is the reason probably why he lost, why he didn't go over last night. I also expected him to shoot the ball a few more times. Like Chris Dunn can't be out here taking the same amount of shot attempts as Kawhi Leonard, in my personal opinion. But yeah, Lakers ran him off the floor last night. Big fourth quarter from the Lakers. All right, so let's jump into it for today. So first up, we'll go with Wiggins. So prompt is still the same. What are the two best player props on the board today based on this season's stats and trends in the NBA? So Jackson likes Andrew Wiggins over his 17.5 points plus rebounds. So Wiggins is listed as questionable, I think, right now, just so people are aware. But it says it's a terrific matchup for him against the Milwaukee Bucks today. So we look at his consistency on the season. He's over. So on the seasons, he's averaging 21.67, which is over 4 points higher than the current line. He's hit the over 80% of his games so far this season, 12 of his 15 games that he's played in so far. And I also want to pause real quick and just say, I think his number's probably so low just because Tyler Hero's back and then part of the rotation. So take this into account when you're handicapping and betting these player props. So recent form is even stronger, demonstrating high consistency over his last 10 games. He said that over 90% of his games, averaging 22 points plus rebounds. Over his last 5 games, 80% hit rate, averaging 21.2. Home court advantage when playing at home, he's maintained a strong hit rate, clearing the line in 75% of his home games with the average of 20.62 points plus rebounds. So the Bucks actually ranked 29th in the league against wings for points plus rebounds prop category. This is an elite matchup for Wiggins, indicating that Milwaukee's struggles immensely to contain players at his position in these combined categories. In his only matchup against the Bucks this season, he's cleared the line comfortably, recording 26 points plus rebounds, which is well above his season average for tonight's line. I don't even think they played so far this season, so this could be wrong. And then the second player prop, so that's 17.5 over for Wiggins, points plus rebounds. And then the second player prop is Jaden McDaniels over his 6.5 assists plus rebounds. So it says that You can get this line at -115 on BetMGM. It says his season average is 7.12, which is comfortably over the 6.5. He's hit the over 75% of his games so far this season, 12 of his 16 contests. He's over 100% of his games in his last 5. He's averaged over his last 5 games. He's has hit the over 90% of the time, averaging 7.7 of rebounds and assists. And then you got defense versus matchup as well. The Thunder ranked 24th in the league against wings for assist plus rebound prop category. The significantly weaker than McDaniels, the significant weakness that McDaniels, a wing, is positioned to exploit. So then there goes into some rebound and playmaking role and game environment, blah, 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 blah. You guys want to read the whole thing, jump over to Jackson, use the link in the description, and it'll get you some money, save you some some coin on your subscription, whatever tier it is that you select. So those are the 2 player props for Jackson for today. Let's jump into the matchups, man. We'll go through a couple of them, and I'll give you guys my thoughts on the other ones. So we'll start off with the Cup, right? So this is Cup play. A lot of these teams are playing today, and then we don't have any NBA for tomorrow. And then on Friday is the last game. So if you're watching on a big screen TV, you guys can probably see this. But if you're watching on the phone, you're probably not going to be able to look at this. These are just the updated standings for the Cup. I will go through them and talk about the significance for each one throughout the matchups for today. There's a couple that I like. So only teams that have clinched so far are Toronto, who do play today. They play the Pacers, and the Lakers, who played last night. They wrapped up the Cup last night with the win against the Clippers. So that is, like I said, you can kind of look, you can see who's eliminated. You can see the point differential. Like I wanted to make sure I put all that here so you guys can see that, screenshot it if you need to. Head over to NBA.com. You can see it as well. And let's jump into the matchup. So first up, Pistons laying 2.5 on the road in Boston. Total open. I wrote 231 down last night. It is still 231, 230.5. It looks like on a couple books. One thing to note about this game, it is an early game. So it's a 5:10 start time game, Eastern Standard Time, of course. 5:10 game. All the rest of the games start at regular time, 7 or, whatever, the time frame typically in. So this is a 2-hour early start time game, which in my opinion favors Boston a little bit more than it favors Detroit. And let's start with the injury report. So just make sure I hit the refresh button. Shouldn't be anything new. But I know Kata is listed as out. He messed up his ankle in that last game for Boston. And Boston really took advantage of Orlando in that game. Orlando was down a couple bodies. But Kata and Tatum are listed as out. Detroit, Marcus Sasser listed as out. And then Kiltman is listed as out, which those aren't rotational players right now anyway. So the way I'm looking at the game, so first of all, like this is I try not to think that every games are going to necessarily be easy. I've talked about Detroit being a second half team. I think that they are the much better team, of course, 15-2 straight up so far this season. Boston's only 9-8. So why is Detroit only laying 2.5 in this spot? And this line opened at 3. So some money coming in on Boston, hasn't pushed this to 3 at all. People thinking Boston is live to win. So here's the thesis for Boston. If you like the Boston Celtics, you do like that they have the rest advantage. It's their 3rd straight home game. In Detroit, what you don't like for them is that they're playing the last game before game road trip. They've won 13 games in a row. They've covered 10 of the 13 as well. So some things to like for Detroit in this game. And I know it was already kind of mentioned in the comment section. I don't think anything is ever easy in life. But I do think that Detroit is, head and shoulders the better team, especially when you subtract Kata. Chris Boucher is not going to be able to bring, that same rebounding, in my opinion. And this Boston team already struggles to rebound the basketball. Jordan Walsh, in my opinion, not going to be able to get the job done either. Detroit still got, championship level pedigree. But we start looking at this lineup. Derek White and Jaylen Brown are the only 2 starters from last season. That's going to be a big part of this rotation for the Boston Celtics. I like what I read from the Detroit side of things as well. So it's a lot of layers to this game. This is a game that I did play. I played it right before I started the show. Just wanted to go through all the research. So just follow me. So let's start. I gave you guys the situationals and all that good stuff. So we look at this game from an NBA Cup perspective. Detroit needs the game a lot more than Boston does, as Detroit can actually still win, this Group B. But Since Orlando beat Philly by 40 last night, Orlando's now 34 points ahead of Detroit. But Detroit actually plays Orlando on Friday. So Friday's game is going to be really, really big to determine who goes to the Cup from what group is this? Group B, between Detroit and Orlando. So Orlando's undefeated, Detroit's undefeated. Orlando has the much bigger point differential because Philly kind of just absolutely not showed up after the first quarter last night. Boston isn't eliminated, but I think they're just trying to spoil Thanksgiving for Detroit. Here's another layer to it, right? So Detroit can actually set a franchise record by winning tonight, making it 14 games in a row. Even those teams with Rasheed Wallace, for my old heads, Rasheed Wallace and Chauncey Billups, and who else did they have on those teams? Ben Wallace, shout out to Virginia Union. Even those teams, even the team that won the championship, never went on a win streak that was 14 games in a row. So I'm like trying to get into the heads of the players, right? And I find this quote from JB Bickerstaff after the game, and I want to read it real quick. He says, I don't want to be dismissive, and I understand what the accomplishment is and how rare and unique it is. But our focus has to be on Wednesday, practice, film. Then he says, that's where we'll focus. We don't take it for granted by any means because we know how difficult these things are to come by. But we've got to move on to tomorrow. So I like that he's pushing his players to think, all right, cool, we won that one, but we still got to get another one. The Cup means a lot. We saw Detroit, shorthanded. They were at the crib in those games. I'm thinking about the Chicago game specifically, and they were able to get the job done. They already beat this Boston team once already this season. I think Kay had a quote talking about how they still have championship pedigree. So I don't think that they're going to take this Detroit team lightly. They beat them in Detroit earlier, 119 and 113. I think Detroit can win the game. I like Detroit on the money line. I don't know if I want to necessarily mess with the spread. Are they 3 points better than Boston? I think so. As far as pace goes, so I like Detroit to win the game. As far as like up and down and pace, as far as the total goes, I do think it's a little bit more of an over game. It opened 231. Like I said, it's down 230 and a half. It's up to 231. Detroit has been really, really good defensively. Boston has been like kind of back and forth. I feel like they've struggled against the good teams, and they've, done pretty well outside of their loss to the Utah Jazz. They've done pretty well against the weaker teams. I think Kata being out is going to push the pace a lot for Boston too. We saw Boston score 138 points, I think, in that last game against Orlando. And I think that they'll play fast. I feel like there were some quotes. I can't necessarily name them specifically, but I think there were some quotes that came out from what's the coach name for Boston? Can't think of his name. Joe Mazzulla talking about how they want to play faster if they don't have Kata down there. So Detroit will probably try to slow this game down, but I think they can get in the track meet as well. I think they'll be able to score the basketball as well. So I like Detroit on the money line. I do think the game goes over. And if I'm playing a player prop, I think we got to look at real quick. Let's bring this up. This is the game you guys could tell I spent most time on, but I think we got to look at Jaylen Brown. So I just think the usage is going to be there. He's already played this team really, really well in Detroit early this season also. And I'm not sure who else is going to, be able to go out there. I just think the usage will be crazy, be through the roof. So I like Jaylen Brown. I want to show you guys some things I was looking at as far as Jaylen Brown goes. So let me transition over to Outlier really quickly. So there's a link in the description if you guys are interested in checking out Outlier. As always, Harden over his assist last night because Outlier was an easy winner too. So we look at Jaylen Brown points. He's listed at 24 and a half. Clearly killing it, right? Averaging, 29 and a half over his last 10 games. The shot attempts are just going to be there. You can see here, right? 23 field goal attempts. Matter of fact, let's see something real quick. So, 23 field goal attempts. So we are thinking that the field goal attempts will be there for Jaylen Brown, which, how could you not, especially in a home game, right? He's still going to bring it. In his home game so far this season, and just in general, in games where he's had at least 23 shot attempts, he's averaging 34 points. He's over in all all 6 games so far. And one of these came against Detroit when he scored 41, which is we go head to head. You see he had 41 in this game in Detroit. So Detroit's a pretty good defensive team. I don't think they have anybody to slow down Jaylen Brown. I like him over his 24.5 points. That's on my short list. I didn't bet that. And then I also considered Duren. I think the number is like it's high and it's scary, but I think Duren over his rebounds is also something that we should be looking at. I think without Kata being there, I think he's going to dominate the glass, and I just don't trust Boston rebounding the basketball right now. So he is under the 12.5. You can see in like 3 straight games, but I feel like because he's under and the number is still so high, to me it just makes a lot of sense. He's going to be able to go in here. You just need him to stay out of foul trouble. We look at the game they played earlier this season. He dominated that game, had 18 points. 18 boards in that game, and I think that's why it's high again. And I think that game was with Kata. He had 24 and 18 in that game. So, during, points plus rebounds or rebounds in general, I feel like should be a pretty solid line today as well. These are the ways that I'm looking. 42 points plus rebounds. And you can get this line at 31.5 for Jaylen Duren right now, as you can see there. So, those are my thoughts on this game, man. It's the one that I kind of like the most. I probably will end up making I don't do it often, but I probably will end up making a few plays in this game today. I don't really like to bet multiple plays in the same game, but this is one that I really, really enjoy. So I said a lot. Let's go back up to the top, see what you guys are thinking. Let's see. What up, Free Sauce? Appreciate you for tapping in. Good morning, Derek. Says he cashed on the over with Orlando Philly. Reeves over his 27.5 points plus rebounds. He says if Aiden is out, Reeves lives on the board. Sneaky look. Okay. I thought it could have been Luka. Luka finished with 9 last night too, though. Let's see. What up, Cheesy Boy? Appreciate you for tapping in. What up, Doms? Does he like Celtics first half money line? I couldn't talk you off. It does seem like a spot. Boston's gonna come to play, in my opinion, early in this game. I think Detroit's the better team, though. What up, dude? Appreciate you for tapping in. Says love the Pistons and K for 10 assists. Happy holidays, chat. Yeah, let's get some cheddar. Morning, Mark. Detroit money line during the Brown, liking them both. I think maybe it's a little same game parlay as well. Appreciate you for tapping in as well. She's rise and grind. Right back at you, my brother. All right, let's keep going. Next game up. Ton of games on the board. Like I said, I'm gonna go through about 6 of them, five of them, and then we'll talk about the rest of them. So next one up is the Knicks and the Hornets. So line open looked like 5.5. It's up to 6.5 now. Total continues to go up. 235.5 was the opener. It looked like it's up to 241.5 now. So a lot of money continue to come in on this over. We look at the injury report real quick. So on the Knicks side of things, they're still without OG, no Landry Shamet. And then on the Charlotte side of things, Pat Connaughton is out. Josh Green and Grant Williams still remain out. I did see that Mitchell Robinson's not on the injury report. And then Ryan Kalkbrenner is also off the injury report for the Charlotte team. So the first thing that jumped out to me, that kind of sticks out to me for the Knicks. Knicks are a really good team, right? Just 10-6 straight up, but they're better than that, I do think. First thing that stuck out to me is the Knicks are 1-6 against the spread on the road. And if you took the early line with the Knicks against the Brooklyn Nets, then they're 0-7 against the spread on the road because they won that game by 13. The line did end up coming all the way down to 12.5. But I think a lot of people probably end up getting hooked on that play. And they only covered by half a point. So their one cover so far this season has been about half a point. I watched them struggle against the Dallas Mavericks like last Friday, I think it was, or whenever that game was. Watch them struggle to win the game, let alone cover the game. And I think Charlotte's just as good as Dallas, in my opinion. It's also for the Knicks, it's 5th straight road game. So for me, I'm not laying this. I'll say all that to say I'm not laying 6.5 points. Now, can the Knicks come out here and absolutely, smoke the Charlotte team? Potentially. But Charlotte, a team that's clearly tanking, in my opinion, just 1-9 straight up in their last 10 games. They've lost 6 in a row, but they have fought. You saw them fight against Atlanta in their last game. They end up with a cover. I think they lost 113-110. They have the rest advantage in this spot as well. And Knicks are a team that can play around with their food. If we look at this from a cup perspective, neither team are top 2 seeds in the cup, but the Knicks still have their last game against Milwaukee on Friday, who is number 1 in cup play. So Milwaukee probably end up losing today against Miami. The Knicks are live. Like, I do think that they're live. The reason why I couldn't bet Charlotte is the defense has been so poor. Defensively, they just been giving it up to everybody. But like I said, I don't want the Knicks in this spot either, just because I've watched the Knicks struggle on the road as a favorite, man. Last year, matter of fact, they were in a very similar spot. It was last spring. I think the game was in March. Knicks were coming to Charlotte, and they actually lost the game outright. They were laying 7.5 as a road favorite. Lost the game outright to the Charlotte Hornets. And it's kind of scary to me to want to lay points with the Knicks right now. When they get a little more consistent, specifically on the defensive end with OG and Anunoby coming back, then maybe. But it's scary. I also looked at road favorites, laying more than 2 possessions so far this season with a pretty high total, so 237 or higher. They're just 2-7 against the spread so far. So Knicks also just 1-4 against the spread when they're laying points on the road as a favorite, and Charlotte's 5-1. Against the spread in the first half if they're a home dog. So if 1 + 1 = 2, it should be Charlotte first half plus 3.5. Not sure if I'll get there. The other thing that was conflicted in this game as the total continues to climb, it's about 7 points higher than what it opened, is Charlotte's also 5-1 to the under as home dog so far this season. This total is a bit too high for me to take the over. Maybe it could stay under the 241.5. Maybe let it go all the way up and then you take the under. So yeah, those are ways that I was thinking about playing this game. Also, I think Mitchell Robinson, the Charlotte Hornets are not a poor defensive rebounding team. They're actually a top 5 rebounding team. But I do think Mitchell Robinson could live on the glass tonight. Cole Brenner, like, he's a pretty good rebounder, but Mitchell Robinson take his lunch money in my opinion. And Karl Anthony Towns rebounds, in my opinion, is a tad bit too high at 11.5. Now, granted, he's gone over that number. Mitchell Robinson's been in and out of the rotation. If Charlotte, I don't know if they'll play too much defense, but if we think that this is going to be an up and down game, then I think Cat could potentially stay under his 12 boards. 12 boards is a lot of boards to grab, in my opinion, especially with Mitchell Robinson being back. So I consider Karl Anthony Towns under his 11.5 rebounds. It's something that's on my short list as well for today. So those are my thoughts on this one. Let's see what you guys are thinking. We'll move over to the next. Dizzy said, going back to the last game, like Cade over his points, rebounds, and assists, Celtics bottom top in all stats to guards. Okay. Brian says Detroit money line. I think I read some of these. Moneyman Frank says Brunson over 28.5 points. He says that high number don't scare me. Okay. I mean, this makes sense because Karl Anthony Towns went off in the last game too. I think he had 37. So that makes sense. LJ says Hornets first quarter over is 14-3, number 1 in the NBA. I'll be interested to know where Philly ranks, LJ. I can look it up, but I don't feel like doing it right now. Colin Knuppel over 16.5 points, Mark says. Okay. What up? B Hobby says, like the Hornets plus 6.5 here. Yeah, I'm not laying it with the Knicks. Backdoor could be open. Pause. Brunson 30 for free sauce. He says, we see what Harden just did to him. That's true. Harden just went for 51, right? Yeah. Harden don't got a lot of help right now, though. Man, Clippers offense is struggling. I know they scored last night, but their offense is not great in my opinion. All right, next game up, Timberwolves and the Thunder. These are the games that I really wanted to go through. And this one kind of sucks because first thing you got to mention, line open 10.5 is down to 8.5. And the reason why is because SGA is listed as questionable. He's listed as questionable with an illness, is what I saw yesterday. And that's the only reason, in my opinion, for this move down, man. This Oklahoma City Thunder team is absolutely fantastic, man. This is a crazy good team. So Minnesota, the first thing I think about outside of cup play is big, right? Like that. We'll talk about that in just a second. But this is playoff revenge. Like this is, Western Conference playoff revenge, right? Minnesota beat Golden State in the second round, right? Yeah, they beat my Lakers in the first round of 5. They beat Golden State after Steph went down with the injury in round 2, and then they ran into OKC and got smoked in the Western Conference Finals. So you got a Minnesota team that's on back-to-back losses, 2 kind of terrible losses too. I didn't get a chance to watch games I was during that time, but I saw that they lost to Sacramento, which is, I mean, maybe that was a look ahead spot. But even before that, they lost to Phoenix as well. And I don't know, like it's 3 straight games that they failed to cover. Of course, they're laying points in all those games. Now you can get them as a dog, and they're getting a lot of points. They played in 7 straight unders, and this is their 3rd straight road game. On the Oklahoma City Thunder side of things, outside of SGA being questionable, it's not a lot the things that make you want to fade them. This team has won 9 games in a row. They've covered back-to-back with blowouts against Utah and Portland. Now, granted, Utah and Portland are not as good as Minnesota, and you got Minnesota getting a lot of points. And this is where you kind of want to take Minnesota, kind of like Atlanta. Like if Atlanta was getting 8.5, you typically want to be on that side. Unless they're playing against OKC. OKC could beat Atlanta by 40 probably. But you don't really want them, laying a bunch of points. And Ben 10 in that last against Sacramento lost their game outright in Sacramento. Minnesota. Then when I started looking at cup play, Minnesota is they're plus 53, which is 2nd in their group. But they're 2-1, and Phoenix and OKC are both still undefeated at 2-0. And OKC is a plus 63. So OKC is not only a game better than Minnesota as far as the cup play goes, but they're also a plus 10 in point differential. Both of these teams absolutely smoked the Utah Jazz in cup play. I think both of them won by 40 against the Utah Jazz, which is why they're both a plus 53 and a plus 53. But OKC's first in cup play in Group A. But like I said, Minnesota does have playoff revenge. OKC beat them 4-1 last season. The way I kind of think about the game, and I'm not sure how much it means, like if SGA doesn't play, I was just looking at Minnesota team total and thinking that it goes under. This total is coming down. It opened 229. It's down to 226.5 on most books. 227s out there. But Minnesota is their team total is 109.5. So they got to get to 110 in this game. OKC is allowing 103 points per game in home games so far. Number 1 in defensive rating overall. Number 1 in defensive rating at home. They got like a 102.3 defensive rating at the crib so far this season. Only the Rockets on opening night with overtime got up and over this number of 110.5. I don't even know if I need SGA for that. If SGA plays, I think it'll be more offense. Collectively, regardlessly, the Oklahoma City Thunder are going to play defense, in my opinion. So I kind of think that Minnesota will struggle to score in this game. Long as OKC can guard the 3-point line, I think we see OKC lock up this Minnesota team. And if SGA plays, I'm even willing to lay the points in this game, thinking they blow the Minnesota Thunder out. I'm the Minnesota Thunder, the Minnesota Timberwolves out in this game. Minnesota, one thing I was looking at, Minnesota is a dog this season, 0-3 straight up, 0-3 against the spread. So they have not been competitive in any of these games. Not super competitive. They lost to the Denver Nuggets by 13. They were getting 6.5. They lost to the Knicks. That was Ant's first game back. Lost that game by 23. They were getting 3.5. And then they lost to the Nuggets again. They were getting 1, and they lost that game by 11 as well. So all 3 of their losses as dogs so far this season have been by double digits. And just not wanting to fade OKC, not at the crib. They've been winning by, I think it was an average margin of, they've been winning by an average of 18.9 at the crib so far this season. 122 is what they're scoring. They're giving up 103 points at the crib, like 3 straight unders at the crib. Destroyed my Lakers, beat them by 29. Destroyed the Warriors, beat them by 24. Destroyed the Pelicans, beat them by 31. Destroyed the Kings, beat them by 14. Destroyed the Blazers, beat them by 27. At the crib, you just you play OKC or you stay off the game, in my opinion. Let's see what you guys are thinking here. We'll keep it moving. Appreciate you, Emmanuel. He says, I watch the show every day. Appreciate all you do for us, Chris. Appreciate that, man. Appreciate that for sure. Brian says he likes Charlotte plus 6.5. Don't trust New York at the crib. New York, Charlotte at home. Yeah, I can see that. Hello, says Wolves Fugazi. This is Charlotte. Chris, 76 is 13-4. Yeah, I knew it had to be number 2. Yeah. It's always 35 to 35 in a 76ers game. Yeah, Philly played Brooklyn. I like Philly first quarter team total over in that game on Friday, just FYI. The way that they got embarrassed in that last game, man, last night, I was already thinking last night, like, whenever Philly play again, I'm probably going to be looking at them first quarter. All right, so that's that. Let's see. And that's Nasty DLR says, might be a game where you take Minnesota plus 8.5 now in case Shea gets ruled out. Well, if Shea gets ruled out, Minnesota, OKC may play even harder, like, because they're missing their leader. I'm honestly not sure what to do with that. What's up, Saturated? Appreciate you for tapping in. Cheesy Boy says, if SGA gets ruled out, what's the best play for the game? If they get ruled out, I think you take the under. Minnesota off back-to-back losses, I think will come into this game motivated. I'm not trusting Minnesota right now, though. Like it feels like the big games they haven't come to play. They haven't been getting this big of a number, but then again, like OKC at the crib, I'm not fading them. So it's really that simple for me, man. It's that simple. Cheeseboy says maybe chat over his points. Malik says, what's your take on Julius Randle? I don't think the guy likes to hoop for real. I don't know. I missed the last couple games, so I don't know. This is how I kind of feel. I kind of feel like Julius Randle plays well against like poor opponents, and then he really like he's not as good, I guess, like against the really good teams, in my opinion. Unless he's playing against the Lakers who drafted him, maybe against the Knicks because he was in New York for so long. Like I just feel like he kind of shrinks in the moment, but that's just my take. Last year in the playoffs, he had a couple really good games, but he also is just very inconsistent, even when the lights are the brightest. Like in the playoffs last year, he would have a really good game and he have a really poor game, really good game, and then a really poor game. So I don't know. That's how I kind of feel about Julius Randle. Brian says Thunder trifecta. Don't overthink it. Team total under for the Minnesota. That's what I'm kind of liking too. P says OKC blasted. Minnesota got 6 dudes. That's it. OKC got 6 bench guys that can handle that. Handle the T frauds. Oh man, I ain't gonna disrespect them like that, but we shall see, man. We shall see. This line goes back up if SGA gets ruled in, though, back to probably the 10. 10 is a lot. 10 is kind of crazy, but then again, it is OKC. You're not gonna get a discount. They're starting to cover again, especially at the crib so far this season. All right, next one up is the Bucks and the Heat. Heat are now laying 8.5. Is this 8.5? Yeah, 8.5. I do see a 9 at Circa as well. Open 6.5. So money's come in. On Miami in this spot. Total has moved up from 231.5 all the way up to 230. I see a 237.5 on the board as well. So the big thing with this one, you hate to play the injury report game. I think SGA is gonna play too. We'll see. It's just an illness. Like you can play with the sniffles, man. But I think the big thing in this one, of course, is Giannis, right? Giannis has missed how many games in a row now? He's upgraded to questionable in this game. Could potentially be his first game back with that abductor. Excuse me. I don't know how many games he's missed in a row. He hasn't played since. He's missed 3 games in a row. So he hasn't played since the 17th, which is a week and a half. About a week and a half. Last time they played Cleveland, and I told you guys I like the Bucks in that spot, and they end up running out of gas because Giannis ended up getting hurt in that game. So it could be his first game back. You got a Bucks team that's been absolutely getting throttled recently. This Bucks team is terrible. Also got to mention that Andrew Wiggins is listed as questionable. I said that already with a hip injury. And then Norman Powell could come back in this game. He should come back. He's listed as probable. So Milwaukee's lost 5 straight games. They haven't covered any of them. The last 3 have actually been at home too. And the last time that they won, last time they were on the road in general was that game against Cleveland where they lost by 12 in the game that Giannis got hurt. So something that's interesting to note, right, is most of the time if you catch a team that's not really good if they've been losing on the road, sometimes if they've been losing at home, sometimes going on the road could be helpful. But when you get getting smoked at home, sometimes going on the road, you're just gonna get smoked by even more. Like I mentioned, last 3 they haven't covered at home. And now you're going on the road against a Miami team that's really getting up and down the floor. It feels like they're not affected, by playing 3rd and 4th, 4th and 6th, which it is a 3rd and 4th and 4th and 6th for the Miami Heat in this spot. And Miami's been looking good. They didn't cover against Dallas, which is kind of ironic, but they've won 5 in a row, and 4 of the 5 they've actually covered. Every one of them outside of the Dallas game. When we look at it from a cup perspective, Milwaukee is the only undefeated team in Group C. Shout out to Darvin Ham. I'm not sure how he's still the only undefeated coach in cup play, even though it's been going on for this many years. I do think that comes to an end tonight. Miami's 2-1, and has a much bigger win differential. They're plus 30. So Miami really needs to win this game to hand Milwaukee their first loss in cup play, which I think that they will. And then Miami should be positioned to, potentially win this this group play. Let me just double check it real quick. Let me double check that. Make sure. I know what I told you guys was true, but let me just double check it. So Milwaukee's undefeated. Milwaukee has a game against the Knicks on Friday, and then Miami is 2-1. So if Milwaukee loses tonight, they'll both be 2-1. Miami has they're plus 30 in point differential over Milwaukee, but they did lose one cup game. And that was to the Knicks, of course. And I was on them in that game, so that stinks. And then this is the last game for Miami. So Miami really needs to win this game to win the cup, and then they will be hoping that Milwaukee loses to the Knicks. If the Milwaukee loses to the Knicks, as long as it's not anything crazy, then Miami should win the cup. They should win this group play is what I'm trying to say. So yeah, Miami really needs to win this game. They really need to score they don't really need to even score that many points. They're already a plus 30. I kind of think Miami should be able to win the game. Do they blow the Bucks out? I'm not sure. I don't even know what Giannis is going to look like, if Giannis is even going to play in this game. Milwaukee is undefeated in cup play, though. I don't know if they're going to rush him back. Milwaukee won the cup last year. It didn't amount to anything in the playoffs. So you got to take all that into consideration. The other thing is this, though. Like, when you just think about these two teams as far as head-to-head goes, Milwaukee's owned Miami. They won all 4 games last season, covered all 4 spreads as well. So Miami's a team that, is getting healthy. They got Tyler Hero back. Bam Adebayo's been back for a couple games. Khalil Ware had a 24-18 rebound, 24-point, 18 rebound game. If they get Wiggins back, man, this is a deep team. Spoelstra's just throwing guys out there, rotating them around, like getting them in and out. Like, I'm not liking what I'm seeing from the Bucks right now. Not liking what I'm seeing for the Bucks right now. I kind of want to get there with Miami first half. They've been a really good first half team. Matter of fact, let's just show you guys, take you behind the curtain a little bit. Let's go over to Moneyballer real quick. I'll show you guys what I was looking at. I'm just not sure what version of Giannis we're going to get in this game either. So if we look at what did I say? Milwaukee and Miami. Bucks just lost to Portland, of course. They were at the crib. That's where you see that. And then the 3rd and 4, 4th and 6. I tried to fade Miami on a 5th and 7, and they still scored 130 points against Portland. So we come down here, we look at team comparison. We can see here that the Heat are 12-6 against the spread in the first half. 4-2 as a home favorite. The Bucks, terrible in the first half. 5-13 in the first half. If they're a road dog, just 1-3 against the number. And you can see the team totals as well. The Heat are 14-4 to their team total over in the first half. So they typically crush this number 14 out of 18 times. That's something I'm willing to put my money on. The Bucks are 4-0 to the under on their team total in the first half. So it should be Miami first half. You probably can get, what's the best number you could get? First half spread. You can get Miami first half team total, Miami just in general in the first half. You can get a 4.5 right now on FanDuel, minus 114. And this could be good if Giannis come back. Not that he's gonna mess up the rotation, because they desperately need him. But Miami's just playing so good. I don't know if one person is really gonna make that much of a difference. Kind of want to get in and get out with Miami. Not that they can't win the game by margin, but you can't be out here, letting the Mavs, cover on the back door. So Miami first half, I think, is probably what I would look towards. Miami first half, minus the 4.5. Let's see what you guys are thinking. All right, let's see. Get back to my main screen. Let's see. Timberwolves plus 10.5 is there. Caught Miami minus 6.5. Khalil Will double minus 130. Hit 7 of his last 9. LJ says, can see that. What's up, Adam? Nasty DLR says he likes to wear double or his 12 boards. The over's been free in the NBA. Robert says Miami first half full game. Ham hock getting caught tonight. Miami in the over. Miami in the over. Who's the number one for the Heat? I don't even think they really got one right now. That's the crazy thing, man. Oh, they don't really need one. Like, and I was reading from Bam Adebayo. He said something like along the lines of it's really hard to scout them because they don't run a lot of plays. He said we just kind of go out there and hoop. Which is working, is absolutely working. This Miami offense is really, really good right now. Real quick, let's put some numbers to the Miami Heat offense. Miami is 12th in offensive rating. Now you add Tyler Hero back, Bam Adebayo comes back, they spacing the floor, they shooting threes, getting up and down the floor. See what that quote was. See if I can find it. Yeah, he said we got a lot of guys who play hard, who are hard to guard off the catch instead of pick and roll, which you can scheme against, but we don't really run plays. You can't scout us like that. Then obviously our pace, we try to wear on you that way, and we get stops every game. We're trying to hit those 3 marks: run with pace, play control, havoc offense, and get stops. It's a fun offense to be a part of. Yeah, I would agree. I would absolutely agree. We shall see. It's a big number to lay, but Miami kind of needs the game. So them being able to score specifically early makes a lot of sense in my opinion. Appreciate you. Okay, watch this. He says, I'm thankful for ChrisBeCappinn. Appreciate y'all as well. Yeah, for sure. A lot of great insight being shared in the chat also. All right, next game up, Suns and the Kings. This line has moved a little bit. So and I didn't get the best of the number either. I didn't play it yet, but I do think Phoenix should be able to win this game on the road. Open 2, up to 4.5 now. Total open 236.5, 236 down to 233.5. It looks like is consensus right now. So we look at the injury report. Dennis Schroeder is listed as questionable with the hip injury, and then Sabonis continues to be out for the Sacramento Kings. They did get Keegan Murray back. I haven't even watched the Kings play since Keegan Murray came back, but I know that we'll talk about him in a second. They've been hot recently. On the Phoenix Suns side of things, no Grayson Allen, no Ryan Dunn. Jalen Green, of course, remains out as well. So for Phoenix, it is 3rd and 4, 4th and 6. Sacramento, they're coming off back-to-back wins as dogs, right? Sacramento beat it beat Denver, which is crazy in my opinion. Called Denver sleepwalking. Beat Denver. They only 2-6 against the spread at the crib though, but they beat Denver in Denver, which is crazy. Getting 11 points, and it was the last game of a 5-game road trip. And then they beat Minnesota in their first game back home, 117-112. They were getting 10 points in that game, and that game was the one that went to overtime, right? Yeah, that game went to overtime as well. So you got back-to-back wins as dogs, back-to-back wins as double-digit dogs at that, and the overtime game. In my opinion, I think that's probably why this total has come down. It should be a spot where, theoretically, Sacramento should run out of gas, maybe even a look towards their team total under. It feels like they are playing a little bit more defense. You held Minnesota to 112, at home. Maybe that continues to be a thing. As far as cup play goes, Phoenix does need this game. They're 2-0 along with OKC in their group. OKC just has a plus 40 point differential margin, and Phoenix and Phoenix also hasn't played against OKC. They'll play on Friday. So Phoenix probably gets smoked in that game, and then OKC will win the group. I guess that's probably what happened, but we'll see what happens with these games tonight. So Phoenix does need this game. Sacramento has nothing to play for. They're 0-2 in cup play and a minus 45, all but eliminated so far in cup play. I think they got smoked by Minnesota in one of the cup games as well. I think that first game was a cup game. They lost by 24. So, I think Phoenix is the right side in this game. Phoenix has not been as great on the road as they've been at home. I think we talked about that last week when we did before I left. We talked about that. But Phoenix on the road, not been that great. So you don't want to lay too many points. 3-4 straight up, 3-4 against the number. But they have, after starting the season off 0-4, straight up and against the spread on the road, they won 4 straight. They won 3 straight. They beat the Clippers, the Mavs, and the Trailblazers. Beat each one of them by at least 9. 11, 9, and 7. Clippers, Mavs, Trailblazers in their last 3 road games. So they are 5-2 to the over as well. Their offense is gone. Looks like it's picked up a little bit. I kind of feel like the Suns should, the Kings should run out of gas in this spot. All these teams are off though, and I wrote this at the top of my notes. I didn't mention it. I forgot to mention it, but I wrote this at the top of my notes. I wrote, NBA players are human too. So some of them will just want to get past the night so they can focus on Thanksgiving with their family and friends. To me, that makes me want to take dogs. And then I think about the cup and how the young players want to win, and it's super conflicting to me. And that's probably why I didn't mention it, but I wrote it at the top of my notes for today. I don't know, man. I think Phoenix got a lot of scrappy players on their team that want to get paid. Devin Booker contract, takes a lot of the money. They don't, they all. It's not like everybody else out here got Devin Booker type contract, so that could be something to take into consideration. I don't know. Beam hasn't been lit that much at the crib. They're just 2-6 against the spread, like I said, in Sacramento so far this season. So that's my thought process here. Let's see. Cree says he likes the Kings plus 4.5. Kings plus 6. DeRozan versus Brooks again. Appreciate you for tapping in, Jamel. All right, cool. Do I have one more? Or is that the 5th game? Because I'm only doing 5. Yeah, I'm only doing 5. So if we look at the games that I didn't cover really, really quickly, what games did I cover? I didn't cover Indiana and Toronto. Tell you guys what I got on my notes for Indiana and Toronto. So RJ Barrett, I know, is out already. Let me just double check the injury report for Indiana. Still a long list of people, man. Furphy and Quentin Jackson and Obi Toppin and Aaron Nesmith. They do have Nembhard, Benedict Mathurin, Ben Shepherd, Pascal Siakam, and Isaiah Jackson back, though. Man, I kind of want to take Indiana in this spot. I know that's an ugly dog, but 10.5 is a lot to lay. Toronto has not done super well laying this big of a point spread. I think, coming off that big win against Cleveland the other day, can Indiana catch them slipping just a little bit and, potentially backdoor them in this spot? Maybe. Indiana has covered 3 straight, even though they have only won 1 of their last 10 games. Toronto is playing 3rd game in 4 nights, 4th game in 6. They won 8 of their last 9. I'm sorry, they won 8 straight and 9 of their last 10. And it's their 4th straight home game, so you don't really want to fade them in that spot. Man, I kind of want to get there with the Pacers, though. Like, I don't know. They got revenge. They lost by 18 as a 6-point home dog I think it was like 2 weekends ago. Indiana also 7-1 to the under as a home dog. I'm sorry, as a road dog. Toronto's 5-2 to the under as a home favorite. So maybe, like a team total under for Toronto, but Indiana's defense is not showing me they can stop anybody. So super conflicting game. One of the reasons why I didn't feature it is one of the games. Kind of like if I had to play it though, proverbial gun to my head, I would play Indiana plus the points in that game. What else? What other ones did not go through? Oh, Memphis and New Orleans. Not a game I'm interested at all. It's probably the most uninspiring cup game that's ever been played. The Lakers already clinched Group B last night, so there's no cup implications. Neither one of these teams are going to make it to the cup. Neither one of these teams probably going to make the wild card either based on point differential. It's not a game that I really look too deeply into, if I'm being honest. Zach Edey, I know he's listed as questionable with a migraine. No Ja, no Ty Jerome, no Scottie Pippen Jr., no Brandon Clark. I guess maybe some Cedric Coward props or some Derek Queen props, especially if Zach Edey doesn't play. Like, I could see Queen having a big game today. The Pelicans were actually getting the Pelicans were getting 3 points. I'm sorry, the Pelicans were laying 3 points. Now Memphis is laying 3.5 points on the road. Not for my money, man. I'm not taking them. Especially with Zion being back. Like, Memphis hasn't really had to travel. It's not the greatest spot because it is 4th and 6, but they're coming off that big win against Chicago. Maybe they could use that momentum, to keep moving forward. I would probably be taking the points with the dog, and the dog is the home team, which makes it even more appealing. So maybe New Orleans plus the points in this game. Maybe New Orleans plus the points in this game would be the way that I'm looking, but probably not a game I'm gonna even come close to. Let's see. What other game did not go through? Oh, Houston and Golden State. That's a big one. So Golden State open 1-point favorites, up to 2.5 now. Total continues to come down, open 225 down to 223. It looks like 223.5 on some books. So injury report: Steven Adams is out, Kevin Durant is out, no Tari Eason, Fred VanVleet, and Dorian Finney-Smith, of course, continue to be out for Houston, which is big, right? Remember last year, Golden State beat Houston, so Houston always gonna have this game circle. Ime Udoka does not like Golden State, going all the way back to his days in Boston, where Boston beat Golden State in the NBA Finals, and Boston was by far the better team in my opinion. They just had too much youth on their side. Golden State won with wisdom, in my opinion. So on the Golden State side of things, no Al Horford, no Kuminga. Draymond Green is supposed to play, listed as probable. And big reason why Golden State. Big reason why Houston made that series so competitive and took Golden State to Game 7 last season, in my opinion, was because Steven Adams, dominated the boards. Remember, that was Ime Udoka started running those bigger lineups, and now you don't have him to be able to go down there and rebound. No Kevin Durant as well. Golden State should be the right side, in my opinion. Not easy, but I think that they can win this game. They can definitely win this game. They haven't been playing well recently. Got a big win. After coming back home, what was it, like 6 games on the road they were playing? Them last 2 against Orlando and Miami, they lost both, didn't cover either. Defense, it looked pretty bad. And then they beat Utah and covered that spread. It was 15. I think they ended up winning that game by 17 the other day. So back at the crib on the West Coast, not really exerting a lot of energy at all in that game, specifically from a defensive end because they scored so many points. This is a Houston team that, is going to fight hard every single game. We saw them just go to Phoenix and get a big win, even without Kevin Durant in that first game that he missed. So I'm not saying it's going to be easy, but I think, I don't know, man. We'll see how many fits, Ime Udoka can cause for Golden State without Kevin Durant, without Steven Adams. I kind of feel like it's starting to mount up a little bit. Tari Eason also, kind of like 6-man on this team, even though Aaron Holiday was the guy who stepped up in the last game. So we'll see if it's somebody else that can step up in this one. I guess I'd go with Golden State in this one. Try to send a message to Houston, especially with them being shorthanded, Golden State being at the crib. So maybe it probably look towards Golden State, but I don't know. I didn't really do too much digging in that game, so I'm not going to give you guys too much. And then the last one, it's only one more, which is San Antonio and Portland. Line open 2.5 for Portland, down to 1.5, one on a couple books. Total going north from 238 all the way to 240. So this one is interesting because if we start with the injury report real quick, I'll tell you guys why it's interesting in a second. So Dylan Harper is actually listed as questionable. There's no Castle, there's no Wemby. We saw San Antonio in their last game. I think they were playing in Phoenix. They started off the game pretty well, but couldn't maintain. They couldn't maintain in that game. So they do have a little bit of rest in this spot. What did I write in my notes? I'll tell you guys what I wrote in my notes in a second. For Portland, Shaedon Sharpe is listed as questionable. Still no Scoot. Drew Holiday continues to be out. I'm not sure what Portland is doing, man. Maybe a look. I think from a player prop perspective, you have to be looking at Denny Avdia. Avdia is an absolute baller, and I think I don't see a matchup on the other side for San Antonio, especially without Castle, especially without Wemby, that's going to be able to stop him, which I think that's why the total's so high. Portland, I don't really trust defensively, even though they have been doing pretty well at the crib. And here's the thing about Portland: only 8-10, straight up on the season. And matter of fact, if we look at them, let's see, if we look at Portland last few games, they haven't done well recently either. They're 3-6-1 against the spread in their last 10 games. They've covered 3 of their last 4, but before that, they were on that road trip and they didn't really cover any of those games. They had one push against New Orleans where they were laying 8, but they beat the Bucks. That was the last game of a 5-game and 7-night spots. Absolutely smoked the night before against OKC. So they do get 1 day off of rest. It's tough, man, because I just don't really trust them defensively. Of course, you slow down Milwaukee without Giannis, but and then they, the game before, they didn't have to play big minutes against OKC because they got blown out. So I don't think any of the starters even played 25 minutes in that game. They lost that game by 30, by 27. It is kind of a wild card. You just don't know what you're gonna get from Portland. At the crib, they've been good though, 5-2 against the number, and I think that's why they opened as a favorite in this spot. Don't really want to trust San Antonio on the road without, in my opinion, 2 of their better players. San Antonio got a big game coming up against Denver. Portland plays OKC on the 30th, so they got more time off after this game as well. And then there's the cup implications. This is what I had written in my notes. Portland has a lot more to play for since they're tied with Denver at 2-1 to lead Group C. Portland is a -18 in point differential, and Denver is a +26 with the same 2-1 record. But Portland beat Denver in group play in the first cup game, so they do hold a tiebreaker. And the other thing we got to remember, I know there's no Drew Holiday in this game, but we got to remember the thing about Portland. Portland home wins have been impressive. They gave OKC their only loss this season, and that game was in Portland. also outside of that game, they beat Denver, right? In Portland. So I kind of feel like Portland is the right side. I don't like that they don't have Drew Holiday. I do feel like they need him. San Antonio coming off a loss will be competitive in this game. One of the reasons why I didn't bet it, but I kind of think, I don't care what the line's doing. I kind of think Portland can win this game. I just don't know if I want to bet it without Drew Holiday. Those are my thoughts. All right, let's go back to the comments real quick and see what you guys are saying. I'll get into a quick recap. What's up, Belay? Appreciate you for tapping in. Says happy Thanksgiving, Chris and crew. What up to my guy Fred? Says good morning, Chris. Happy holidays to you and yours. Toronto hot right now, though. They are. They absolutely are. No RJ Barrett already beat the Pacers team by 16. I think the Pacers can. Eventually, Pacers gonna win a game again. I don't think they're gonna win, but they have covered 3 straight. So getting points, I kind of like. Dom says, I think we're at the point where if the Pacers are double-digit dogs, you got to play them. They still aren't whole as a team, but I think they have enough to start covering big spreads. And I agree. I do agree with this, Dom. Outside of Isaiah Jackson, they got NBA starters on the floor. I don't think Isaiah Jackson is a starter, but outside of him, I do agree. Dom says teams who previous game was versus Phoenix are 3-12-1 against the spread in the next game. That's interesting. Okay. That would be San Antonio in this game, right? Yeah, because San Antonio just lost to Phoenix. Rockets money line. Sengun over his points, Dude says. Sengun definitely going to try to get busy. He don't like Draymond. H-Town says Reed Shepard finna to get destroyed in the pick and roll. That sounds like over then. This is the lowest total on the board, I think, as well. 223.5 you can get right now on BetMGM. Don says someone also pointed this trend. Since 2024, the Warriors are 7-1 against the spread when they're a home favorite of less than 3. So Warriors at the crib. I want to double check this real quick. Warriors at the crib, getting a short number. It's supposed to be a competitive game. Let's see what that looks like. 2024 and team equals Warriors and home favorite line is less than. Did you say 3? Yeah, line is home favorite of less than 3. So I'm gonna just add 3 in there as well. I see 6 and 2. Let's just say less than 3. 5-1. So since that was last season, this season, that is correct. Well, I see 6-1. 6-1 against the number, straight up and against the spread when the Warriors are home favorite of less than 3 points. Let me just add regular season. So regular season 5-1. So only one of these games came. They're actually 5-1 to the over in this spot as well. They've gone over their team total every single game except one that they played against the Nuggets. That game was 118-104. Stayed under the total of 237.5. But yeah, Warriors offense typically plays really good in these games. So maybe even a Golden State team total over. I think the Rockets defense, it played a little better than I thought it would without Kevin Durant in that last game. They held Phoenix to like 92 points. I wasn't expecting that. Let's see. Mark says, yes, Golden State ATS at home is very good, but Houston ATS on the road also good. 6-1. Mark says he plays San Antonio plus the 2.5. Timberwolves plus 10. Heat money line, Zach says. I agree with the sneaky Pacers cover here. Netflix just announced they're canceling the starting 5. But I did see that, which is crazy because I didn't even finish it. I'm on like episode 4. I hope they give me a couple days. I didn't even see if it was canceled. I don't have time to watch TV, man. Shout out to everybody who got time to watch TV. I don't have no time to be watching TV. But yeah, that's the show for today, man. I'll go through real quick and give you guys everything that I had written down. So I didn't update this list yet, but it's all in my notes. All right, so going back to the first game, I do like Detroit today. I did bet Detroit already too. So Detroit, I bet them on the money line. I think I got minus 135, I think it was. Let me just double check and see what the best line is now. I did bet this though. Detroit money line. I think they beat Boston today, but Boston, it wouldn't surprise me if Boston won the first half. Boston's not going to roll over. They got the heart of a champion, in my opinion. Just don't think they got enough. So Detroit money line, best number you can get. Oh, it is moving. And I should have sent it out. I didn't send it out because I bet it literally right before I started the show. Minus 141 if you guys got Bally Bet, the newest book to limit me. So I can't bet on Bally Bet no more. $7.65. Not gonna cut it. So 141. FanDuel got minus 148. I would bet it. Maybe you get a better number after the end of the first quarter. So take with that, do what you want. In that same game, though, I kind of showed you why I like Jaylen Brown over his points. I think it's 24.5. or 26.5. Real quick. Let me just double check real quick. See what Jaylen Brown points is. And I'll tell you guys where the best place to get it at as well. So Jaylen Brown it's 26.5. It's not 24.5. 26.5 points. Best number is -115 on DraftKings. I'm probably going to end up playing that. I kind of like this game a lot. And I think it goes over the total as well, but we shall see. All right, next game up is, let me just make all this a little bit smaller too. It's a few things I like today. All right, so next game is Miami and Charlotte. Man, I said it. Charlotte plus first half plus the 3.5. I think would be my top look in that game. Knicks play around with their food a little bit in this game, especially coming off the big win. I think Charlotte first half would be the best number. Remember, Charlotte's what did I tell you guys? Charlotte is 5-1 against the spread as a home dog in the first half. The Knicks are 1-4. They're laying points on the road as a favorite in the first half specifically. So, and they only 1-6 against the spread overall, laying points on the road. Indiana, Toronto. I kind of like Indiana, like I said. Indiana plus the 10.5. Wait for SGA in my opinion, but Minnesota team total under 109.5. The best number was on FanDuel at -114 when I looked this morning. Milwaukee and Miami. You guys can see the Miami first half there. Memphis and New Orleans, nothing. Houston, Golden State. I kind of like Golden State on the money line. Yeah, I kind of like Golden State on the money line in that spot. San Antonio, Portland. I'm going to just stay away from that one. I do think Phoenix and Sacramento is a Phoenix spot, but I got to figure out how I want to play it. So, and that's all the games, man. That is all the games for today. Yeah, that's all the games for today. So, what else was honorable mention? Jalen Brunson? No, Duran. A lot of people like Brunson over his points, which I can't talk you guys off of that. But Jalen Duran rebounds at 12.5 over with no Quinta. Cat under his 11.5 rebounds as well. I forgot to mention that. I forgot to write that one. That would go right here. And I think that's it. Yeah. Super long show. Boston and Detroit over the 231. I'm not going to add that, but yeah, I talked about reasons why I like that as well. Super long show, but it's a lot of cup games for today, man. Hopefully you guys enjoyed it all. And hopefully you find some ways to make some money tonight, man. Most important thing to do. Resources all listed here. Do me a favor, hit the like button for me on the way out. Check out Moneyballer, OddsJam, Outlier, all of the resources for your own handicapping needs. Whatever you're capping, you can use these resources to handicap all of them. And show some love, man. Hit the like button, subscribe to the channel, turn the notification bell on. Enjoy your Thanksgiving if you celebrate it. We will be basketball-less tomorrow. There's no games tomorrow, but we'll be back on Friday for a big slate. And I'll see you guys then, man. Like I said, enjoy the holiday. I'm out.